No racist police.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
No racist police.
No racist police.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
No racist police.
No racist police.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
No racist police.
No racist police.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
No racist police.
No racist police.
We calling for justice out here today.
All right, we are here, and we thank everybody for coming out to this event as we raise awareness around what happened with Mr. James Weaver, who is here with us today. We're thankful that our national leader of the Alliance for Justice, the People for Justice Alliance, is here with us. Justice is here with us. Heartbroken and grieved about what happened to Mr. James Weaver in regards to the off-duty police officer in Stockton. This was all over social media, and of course, it has gained awareness around our city, and we are just here to take a stand against the injustice and to raise this to national leaders, people that are in our city, our chief of police, our mayor, city officials, allowing them to understand that we as a people will not stand for any type of injustice. It is heartbreaking to understand and to know that any abuse of power, especially from law enforcement, people that we are supposed to trust, people that we are supposed to have faith in, many times abuse their power. So we're here to raise awareness. We're so thankful that James Weaver has come down from Nevada with this case and with this situation. So at this time, I am going to introduce to everyone our national leader, Reverend Shane Harris.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to say thank you to our Stockton chapter representative, Pastor Leon Scoggins, the senior pastor of the Life City Church. Let's give him a big hand. Also Pastor Brandon of Praise Temple Full Gospel Church. And Sister Talisha Hooker, and our many strong black women who are here standing with Mr. James Weaver, who is right here behind me. I want to begin by saying that the reason why it was important for me to come to Stockton and to stand with Pastor Leon and Talisha and the activists here in this town, and particularly thankful to our Sacramento chapter representative, Chris Adams, who got this case involved, who got us involved in this case, along with Pastor Leon. The reason why it was important for me to come is because what happened to James Weaver is not only an insult, but what happened to James Weaver should be the call to action to AB 392 getting passed in the state of California to change the game on how officers deal with citizens in our communities. We cannot afford to continue to have officers profiling black and Latino people at higher rates and not be prosecuted or not deal with disciplinary action when they do these kind of things. And what we saw with Mr. Weaver was a complete profiling tactic by an off-duty police officer who was only interested in proving what we believe was some kind of rogue act of anger because of what happened on the road between him and Mr. James Weaver. James Weaver that day was driving from Reno, Nevada, not even a citizen in Stockton, and was coming here to get a car. This is a black man who is not armed. This is a black man who is a good family man. And this is a black man who has a good history. Not to be targeted as a profiling tactic, but rather to come here and buy his family a car. And what happened to Mr. Weaver was that instead of buying his car, he was pulled over in his car that he drove here from Reno, Nevada, and he was profiled by an off-duty Stockton police officer. Now, a lot of people saw the video that went viral, and they said, oh, you know, We don't know what happened prior to that, which is why Pastor Leon and local leadership here reached out to the mayor and the police chief to ask what happened. They have, particularly the police chief, had wanted to meet because they knew that something was wrong when an off-duty police officer pulls out his gun and holds him at gunpoint, and he's off-duty and didn't call other officers until he got in the middle of the altercation. Something is wrong with that. Right. Something's also wrong with the fact that how this officer was aggressive with James, as if he was a criminal. And also in the video, you do not see the officer identify himself as a police officer. How do you think that you can come and pull this man over and put a gun to his head, put a gun on him, threaten him, hold him at gunpoint, and not even identify yourself and tell him who you are? I think that we're having an identification crisis, and that we need real answers about what Stockton identifies with and what Stockton doesn't identify with. Because black men should not be pulled over at higher rates than white men, who oftentimes have more of the contraband and more of the drugs. But the idea that you would hold him at gunpoint, and the idea that he was so kind that he sat there on the ground in the hot sun and listened to you and let you go on about what you thought he was wrong about and how you're calling backup, I think is an identification crisis for Stockton. So today we come to say that the People's Alliance for Justice and myself will pursue legal representation to represent Mr. Weaver in civil court, because we believe what happened to him was wrong, and the Stockton Police Department needs to be held accountable.
That's right.
But also, we are going to organize in this city. Pastor Leon Scoggins, pastor of a great church here, has often called me because Stockton PD does not have a good relationship with the community, and particularly with young black men in this community being pulled over at higher rates, being embarrassed like Mr. Weaver was. That kind of embarrassment is egregious. We know that Stockton has good representation because the mayor, Michael Tubbs, who many have opposed and many have been angry with because they didn't feel like he was doing enough for police brutality or homelessness. But at least the mayor did reach out and see what he could do and see how he can get answers. So this is not a slamming on the mayor, but this is to say to this city and the city council and the city officials in this town that if you do not get answers on what happened to Mr. Weaver, we are going to organize at city hall meetings, organize marches, organize whatever needs to be done, because what happened to Mr. Weaver was wrong, and you should be held accountable, Stockton PD.
Right.
So this is not going to go off the record. I came because it's not going to go under the carpet. We're going to vacuum the carpet.
Right.
Because we are tired of how police deal with our community, and there's no accountability. People say, oh, he's not dead. The problem is that he could have been another victim of police shooting. That's how we need to be standing up. We need to be proactive and not reactive.
Right.
And what happened to him was wrong. We need to organize. We need to stand up. We need to speak up and make our voices heard, which is why the People's Alliance for Justice will make sure that we stand with Mr. James Weaver all the way on this road and this fight to justice. Finally, I'll say this, that we ask for Mayor Tubbs, the police chief of the city of Stockton, to view the video. We also call on the video from Officer Warren cameras that arrived on the scene, because we understand that the off-duty police officer did not have a camera on, which is also part of the problem. You're now dealing with hearsay. The officer being able to say, oh, I felt he was going to do this without a camera on him to be able to prove what he said that he thought was going to happen. But then the other issue is that we have not seen any body-worn camera footage from the police officers who showed up on the scene, and from the moment that he's transported from the scene to jail. The other issue we have is, how do you take a man to jail on, how much bond? $105,000 bond for reckless driving that you say that was going on? I think that shows a real signal of injustice and a real signal of how police in this city and this county and across the state of California think that they can overhaul citizens and the public, and the bail issues that are raised. He had to get bailed out for $10,000. His bail was set at $105,000. That is egregious. And that is what you call a setup for a mismanagement of justice. But today we're saying that this is not right, and that is why I came to Stockton, because James Weaver will not have to walk alone from here. There's a community, Tylisha Hooker, Leon Scoggins, all of the pastors and people that are here today are here to let the media know, and to let the city know, and to let the mayor know, and let the police chief know that James Weaver will not walk alone by himself in this pursuit of justice. Lastly, D.L. Hewley, a celebrity, shared the video. It's gone viral with millions of views. I've spoken to others. This is an example of why AB 392, Dr. Shirley Weber's excessive use of force bill in the state of California, is important and apparent because of how James Weaver was dealt with by an off-duty officer. An officer who doesn't even have a camera on. An officer who cannot even prove that what he said happened. And so this is why we need a threshold for how police deal with citizens. And that's why this bill getting passed in the Senate, which is what we're organizing around now, is so important. Because before this, there has been no threshold for police to be held accountable. Before this, a police officer could say, I thought. This bill would change the game in California for how police can say that. You now have to prove that what you did was necessary. And that is going to change the game forever in how police deal with citizens. So that's why we're pushing AB 392. At this time, we're going to welcome this strong black man who took this hit, who was dealt with the wrong way, who we believe was dealt with by a road cop who was angry at a simple road interaction that he says happened. Like we all have road rage on the road. I believe that he profiled this man and that he pursued this man to take him down. And because he saw that he was black, I believe there was profiling involved. And I believe once he pulled him over and he saw, or once he got out of the car, because Mr. Weaver got out of the car, walked into his destination, the cop came after him, and it is our belief because he's a black man. Let us welcome James Weaver.
Yes.
How you guys doing? I don't really know where to start, but I'm really happy with this movement that we're gonna get going. And I'm hoping that law does go through so this doesn't happen to anyone else out here or anywhere else. I don't really honestly know what to say.
Tell us what that experience was like.
It was pretty scary. We had kids in the car. We had a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 12-year-old.
James, can you tell us, in your words, what happened that day? What were you doing, and how did you end up in Stockton?
It basically just happened because we were getting over on the freeway, and he just didn't like the speed we were maintaining.
And
What was the speed he was going? What about your speed?
We were probably going about 55, 60, so he was probably going 65, 70.
And what
once he had followed us after we stopped on the freeway.
Why?
But can
Why-
you let him finish his
Oh.
statement before we have questions?
Sure.
at the end?
You don't want to speak? You don't have to lean into the mic. It'll pick you up. It's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Just make your statement.
But I'm just happy with the movement. I hope the bill does get passed out here so no one else has to go through what we went through. And that's basically it.
James, the officer claims that you intentionally swerved to hit him. In your words, what happened?
I think that we have to be careful. I don't want to get into, because he's got an attorney that he's going to be represented by, and we don't want to pre-lit any kind of language that can mess with the case. But what I will say with him here, and we've talked about this, is that I believe that what took place, and this is what advocates are believing, is that this cop got angry at the speed limit he was going, and like anybody, like any citizen with road rage, got angry and used his power as a cop to do James the way he did. That is what we believe happened. And I want to be very clear. We believe that this cop used his platform and his position and his power to deal with James the way he did, not only during the drive, following him all the way to his destination, because he technically couldn't pull him over. And then the question that I have is, why did you not call the backup before you got to the location? Why didn't you call the backup while you were driving? We understand that you were on the street, so why didn't you call the backup to pull him over for you? So all of those questions are arising. When we look at this situation, I think that it was honestly a road cop who was angry, and this is alleged. I'm not saying that this is factual. It is our perception that this is the road cop who was angry and utilized his power to deal with James the way he did.
James, let me ask you this then. If that officer was right here in front of you, what would you say to him? What would you tell him?
No comment.
James, is this your wife? Was she in the car with you too?
No, she wasn't there with us.
But there's a witness here who was in the car who's going to speak. Now, Preston Johnson was in the car. He's a friend and family member of James who was in the car that day. And he's going to speak briefly, not on the legal side of things, but really what he analyzed and what he saw as a witness. So this case is solely based on witness because the cop, off-duty cop, had no camera.
How you guys doing? Yeah, so pretty much the first time when we stopped on the freeway, we stopped to check the trailer, everything was fine. Once we got to our destination, we got out to walk up to our destination. And I didn't know this guy, he was wearing normal clothes, I didn't know what he was, so he came up, with his gun out. I didn't know what was gonna happen, I was terrified for his life, my life, everybody we were with. I had to call his wife and everything, I'm pretty much in tears, and they were trying to help us. Honestly, so, like you said, it's cool, to see something, at least try to happen, like justice. That's definitely not okay to happen to anybody. I'm just glad that, it's getting taken care of. P-R-E-S-T-O-N.
Any last name?
Johnson. Yeah, it's just cool though, to see a group of people, trying to fight what happened. We see like that, stuff like that in movies, on videos on Facebook viral, but it's crazy, to see it happen in front of you. Yeah, I'm just glad that, there's people that actually want to take action and help out for them.
I'll take questions at this time.
So has an attorney been retained, or you're still trying to get them?
We have been able to get an attorney on board. I haven't released his name because and it is a pretty high-profile attorney here in Northern California, and so they're going to be meeting today to get James signed up. James will be represented by an attorney, and he will proceed in civil court for the losses. There was lots of losses that took place. The $10,000 that he spent in bail money. Also, the other things that took place along with that were how he was dealt with, how he was handled, the traveling back and forth. James actually went back to Reno, Nevada, where he lives, came back a week later for court, and can you believe this? Got to court and found out what? There was no charge. Charges were dropped. So wait a minute. We make this man drive all the way back to Reno, tell him he has a court case in a week to show back up at court. He gets back to court and he finds out there's no case. There's no charge. And we understand how they play games. We understand that now that he's going to pursue civil rights, his civil rights, that they will try to come back now and charge him. Just know that it's retaliation. Just know that it's a setup for retaliation because they're ashamed, they're embarrassed by how they did this man. They're ashamed and they're embarrassed by the national exposure around what happened to him. That's all it is. So they dropped the charge because there was nothing.
When did the district attorney tell you that they weren't filing charges?
Well, the court, came back to Superior Court. What?
Yeah, I came back to the court on the 30th. They told me, May 30th, and there was nothing on the docket or anything.
But did you get some official word from the DA's office that they were not filing charges?
No, there's been no official word, but the Superior Court docket folks just told him, there's no charges. At this point, you're free to go. You don't have to attend court. So, we're also going to be demanding a letter from the district attorney. We want the district attorney to answer on where they will stand in regard to James Weaver. We will be addressing a letter to the district attorney asking that, ensuring that charges will not be filed or a charge will not be filed against Mr. Weaver. We're also demanding that the police chief take a look into this matter a lot more clearly, and that he meet with Pastor Leon Scoggins and the People's Alliance for Justice Stockton leadership in the next few days about what is going to happen next, because clearly Stockton's in the bad light. They don't want to be viewed this way, and the only way to fix that is address it, meet, talk about it. What is your plan to take action around it? So those are real concerns in regard to this. And so the fact that this man had to drive back from Reno, Nevada to find out that he doesn't need to appear in court anymore is bananas. And I eat bananas every day. It's bananas. It's really bananas. And I think that there's got to be a real clarity around what happened to Mr. Weaver. So we believe he was overhauled by a road cop who got mad, who used his power, who used his authority to take on Mr. Weaver in this way. And we're going to fight it. We're going to fight it with Mr. Weaver, with his attorney, in civil court, and we're going to organize. We do not want any other black man or brown man in California or across the country, but particularly in Stockton, to have to go through this again. This is egregious. This is wrong, and it needs to be stood up for. So we're not waiting for another black man to die. We're going to stand up now, and we're going to ensure that they understand that when you harass us, when you come after us in this kind of way, you're going to be called out on that too. This is not about just police shootings. This is about brutality and how you profile and target black and brown communities. And it is something we will not stand for, nor will we let you do without us standing up to you. So we want to thank Pastor Leon Scoggins and the leadership. I want to have Tylisha Hooker just say a few words. She's a local activist here in Stockton, and she's the head of the Student Success and Leadership Academy. She's going to say a few words, and then we're going to finish.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here today. If you are like me, I was just scrolling through my Instagram when I saw this video, and for a second, I looked around at the surroundings, and I started to read the caption and realize that this happened here in Stockton. Stockton, the place that I grew up in. I attended Cesar Chavez High School, attended UOP, and all the time that I've been in this community, we've had issues with our police. The way in which they police black and brown communities here is atrocious. And I'm very thankful that this video was caught on camera, and very thankful that James is still here and alive today to even tell this story. That doesn't always happen. We know that in this country, when police see us, they see monsters. And that's not who we are. We have a man here who was just driving to pick up a car with children in the car. As a former kindergarten teacher, this hurts. Community trauma is real. And what happened to those children is traumatizing. What happened to James is traumatizing. And what happens to all of us who watch that video is that we believe that trauma every single time that we see it. So I'm very thankful for the People Alliance being here. I'm very thankful to have
the next steps. We're going to be organizing. We're asking the mayor and the council for a meeting immediately with the police chief. We're also asking for the body-worn camera footage from the Stockton Police Department to be released from the pickup all the way to the jail cell. We're also asking for the district attorney to not charge this man because we believe that he was dealt with by a rogue cop who was angry, who was threatened, who said that he was threatened as an excuse. And we do know that Mr. Weaver did not have a gun. He did not have a weapon. He was given a reckless driving. He was given a charge for assault with a weapon being his car. That's what you call taking advantage of someone. That is not what you call leadership. That is not what you call protecting and serving. That's what you call terrifying someone. Trying to radicalize a movement of police brutality. It's something that will not be stood for. And this is why AB 392 will get passed. It will change the game in California on how police deal with communities of color, because situations like this, enough is enough. I will be back as well. We will be organizing Stockton City Hall next week. Pastor Leon Scoggins is going to take people down to this City Hall for the next City Council meeting. Pastor Leon Scoggins is leading a movement in this town along with Tylisha and the others who are going to be organizing for a day of action at the City Council meeting for what happened to Mr. Weaver. And I also want to say this. While I come to shine light on this case in particular, I know that this is happening across Stockton every day. I know that there are black and brown children, youth, and young adults who are targeted by police every single day in Stockton. This just got more traction and more attention because celebrities and leadership like myself got involved. But it does not make a difference in regard to how police deal with people of color in this town every single day. We have heard stories, horrific stories, of how the police in this town follow people, go after people, how they are very ruptured in the way that they interact with people in society, how they kind of try to terrify and scare people. These kind of tactics will not be allowed. And if the People's Alliance for Justice is around, and Pastor Leon and Tylisha and others who are here, we are going to make sure that it does not happen. So we want to thank all the press who came. We want to thank all of the community members who are organizing. And we are on to the next City Council meeting to organize around this. Mayor Tubbs, Police Chief, you need to do something about this cop. We want disciplinary action on this cop, because police should not be able to do misconduct and not be held accountable to the price that they must pay for this kind of stuff that takes place. So thank you all.